Is there such a thing as female photography or
No.
male photography? I
No.
mean, is there any?
I mean, the one name that I thought of as Lyle was mentioning influences was Nan Goldin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who I think is, one of the key influences of the past century. And especially while I was writing, I'm very aware of, I always try to go to student shows, I always try to see everything, literally. So while Nan was very big, it was clear that she was not just, impressing me, but she was being imitated by so many people. She was, for a time, the most influential photographer until other people kind of took over. And I think the permission that she gave people to explore that kind of personal area, explore domesticity, explore the difficulties of that material was extremely important.
Yeah, for men as well. I don't want to
Yeah.
gender this too much, but
No.
there are so many male photographers who
Well,
needed
I mean,
that.
think about from an aesthetic standpoint. When I think about when we're talking about photography now, and we sit with the interns and I say, let's talk about Nan Goldin. Let's see who's here. Who did she influence right now? And I think of Terry Richardson as being
Sure.
one of the top male photographers. His style doesn't have to be the voice, but the style is directly coming from Nan Goldin. That's going in the other direction as a female empowering a male voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Female photographers have come a long way, and I think also society has already come a long way. Still, I think there are there's certain points where it's no longer logical. Why are there not more well-known female photographers? Yes, there are people who make money, and that's all they are, and a number have their life spotlighted, but in numbers it doesn't quite reflect yet.
I just want to interject because, Sarah, I'm sure you're really good in business. I just want to say that, being an artist is not just doing good work. I mean, doing good work is the minimum. I think the creative, Einstein says is 10% creative, 90% sweat. I think, I was managing people when I was in the fragrance industry, and that was easier than being an artist. Because I think being an artist demands so many other talents, of which managing your life, managing your time, being able to socialize, being able to go to a certain number of parties, meeting people. I mean, talking about your work yourself, okay, so after good curators can talk about it much better, but it's a very, very complex, well, I'm talking if you're in the fine art world or, teaching, you need a lot of skills that are not necessarily, some of them are not necessarily women's fortes. And I'd say one of the first ones, I'm sure in your domain it's even more, you really have to talk about yourself. You really have to sort of be a little assertive. Otherwise nothing's happening. And you have to learn, if you don't have it naturally, to promote a minimum yourself, like social media, email, these kinds of things. And I think it seems pretty basic what I'm saying, but I also think the business side, what I call the sort of business side, because I've taught like Lisa, is not much taught in the art schools, at least it wasn't when I went to ICP, and it's pretty important. And if you don't have that, also budget, finance, accounting. I mean, that terrified me, but a spreadsheet, an Excel. If you don't know how to do that, how can you invoice? I mean, and that,
I don't know how to do
I don't
any
know
of that
either.
stuff.
yeah, but as an artist, I think we have to learn,
But
because at the beginning you don't really have the time
photography
to
all
pay
about-
someone.
Isn't this all about being a freelance person?
Yes.
You're not a
That's
cog in
right.
a wheel. And
That's
so
right.
if you have the skills to take care of yourself in all aspects,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you can, photography is one of
empowering.
those very interesting realms where it celebrates the alpha person. Whoever that is, the aggressor, the alpha person, the person who, the early bird gets the worm. Well, when I worked as a photojournalist, you had to be the first person on the scene to get that picture, or it was gone, or the light, or that moment, and being, that's so taking care of all aspects to become the person. You said, is there a female subject point of view? And I think that, it is quite possible that women may excel. And I wanted to go back for a second and say, is there anything wrong with saying that access actually defines your view? Because as a woman, if you're given access to certain hidden, I mean, I did all these lovely projects with the, covered women in Islamic homes, and I'm a Jewish woman, same as you were talking
Right.
before, predominantly secular. But is there anything wrong with having the subject matter chosen in some way you find it by your
By your
gender?
access, by your
Is-
gender.
And by your gender, because you have
No.
that access. It's
No,
a
that-
lovely thing,
It's,
isn't it?
no, I was just thinking about photojournalists. 50 years ago, there were very few photojournalists that went to the Vietnam. There was some Vietnam War. But now, I mean, Lindsay Addario, she won, she won a MacArthur Award. She has been everywhere. She's a fantastic photographer. And she also says that sometimes it helps to be a woman, especially in Muslim countries. So, and there's nothing wrong with it,
Without a doubt.
I mean, sometimes sometimes it's to advantage. I agree with you. We live in the digital age. Has that changed anything for? Let's go to the female photographers here at the table.
What I thought of instantly was, the internet and email and how you can have any persona you want, and you can create who you are, and it can be not at all true.
Yeah.
I can be anybody I want to be. It's not like anyone hears my voice over the phone if I'm typing. Nobody needs to see my face. Actually, I just meeting Lyle for the first time.
Yeah.
For all you know, I could be a man masquerading as someone named Lisa. So, because I don't think my work betrays my gender necessarily, but I like, although that hasn't really affected my own practice and my own personal way I work, I think that it's enormously valuable to someone. I wonder actually if people are doing experiments right now with a male or female persona when they're actually the opposite.
Actually, I think that one of the most exciting aspects of the digital world is that photography used to be a little bit of chemistry and a lot of money. You had to be able to, especially in the commercial world, you had to be able to afford film and then processing and then printing. You spent a lot of time doing that. And what the digital age has done for students has really opened up a world to people who couldn't afford the film and the processing and all of that, to take pictures over and over again, and you just wipe that card. So it's leveled the playing ground for the financial burden, and it doesn't, in fact, it's actually wonderful. Say, and it's genderless, but if you come from less money, it doesn't mean you can't be part of the photo elite.
Yeah.
Well, also, I think that someone could be a stay-at-home mom and have a lively presence on the internet and be able to get their work out there without ever having to leave.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
children.
Martine, you did that, right?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it allowed me to be able to work on my photos in Photoshop and print them myself until I went to get a digital C-print done. But at least I could do most of the work while my kids were adolescents, and I really need to be there. Couldn't leave the house empty on a Friday or Saturday night.
When I look at what the technology has done for my students, or just the world in which we operate vis-a-vis images, electronic or otherwise, it's been incredibly liberating. I mean, there are probably more people making better pictures and using them for different audiences in different ways than has ever been the case in human history. And out of that comes really astonishing